We are
Didi
and Arma, and in our daily lives we support people on the path of self-liberation. We teach time-tested energy skills like Qigong, Tai Chi, internal alchemy, traditional nutrition and meditation.
We help people release stagnation, build energy, and become aligned with themselves and their purpose in life.
In this podcast, we share the methods, skills, and solutions that helped us, our students, and now hopefully you move forward.
Let's explore transformation together.
Welcome to our podcast. Today we are talking about internal principles, and we are talking about the physical internal principles that we start with everyone who comes through the door for a private session or workshops, because this opens the door to the internal training. And that's what we want to talk about today, because it's very, very important and often misunderstood.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when they come in, it's always funny to see when we start and they come into the door and their body tells a story, really.
Yes, yes.
You see how they stand, how
they carry themselves, how they walk, and
exactly. And and then we start with looking at ourselves, like how do we stand, standing practice, and you see that even when somebody starts, or also some people who've trained for a long time, it's kind of, they're unsure, like, am I doing this right? Am I standing correctly?
I had the same for a long time. Those were a couple of the things that, when people come in, they're like, okay, should I be feeling muscle, and about all these things. So our challenge is every time is to really quickly get them into the internal principles of how to open the body, how to open the joints, how to tune into the elastic body to connect with fascia, and then learn what the difference is between the elastic body and then muscle contraction. When they get into the door of the elastic body, the fascia, now we're in business. And this takes a while. This is most of part of day one, is actually getting people into that feeling and then getting them to trust that feeling, and also explaining to them that this is where the biggest changes are made in the beginning, because the elastic body is the nervous system. It's the same thing. And this brings us back to what you were saying about every body tells a story, and everybody tells a story, is that what you actually see obviously is the results of a nervous system, and how this nervous system, translates to them, and how they carry themselves, etc.
It's such an interesting thing, because when this nervous system collects so many stuff,
it's a museum.
It's a museum or a house where when you're born, maybe your parents already put some boxes in it with some stuff. You're into your DNA, or how do we call it? And then through your life, you're copying. And so it's so interesting when you see, but there were a father and a son here this summer.
Yes.
And you see that how they stand and how they move, it's kind of similar, because, well, it's how they're built, but also
it's also conditioned.
Because children copy so much. So,
yes.
And now, but because that is happening, you also take maybe some stuff into your own system that you don't want to.
Absolutely. So when you make this, this comparison with the house, which I really like. There's all sorts of rooms in this house, right? There's like a mental room, there's an emotional room, there's a basement where it's dark and sticky, where there's a really, just to be really serious also here is people, they experience a lot of things during their lives, and most of the time we don't really get young people here, sometimes we have an exception, which is great, But most people have lived for a while, so there's stress in the system. There's all sorts of blockages. There's also a lot of heaviness in the system, and this is very interesting to talk about, because in the Qigong process, we want to create a lightness and an openness so that we can actually start releasing some of this stuff. And we have to move beyond a heaviness and contraction. So in these first stages of this physical training, when we start connecting with openness and how that actually feels and connect with the elastic body, now we have it's like you get the key to your house, right? It's like, so I can actually go in and start cleaning up, because there's tons of exercises obviously that we can do with the elastic body to clean the house, but also go through the house. Is there still a strong structure here, right? Is this house, does it have a foundation? Is it, and really start painting it, and we go through everything, the whole wiring of the house, is this house wired? So also the connective tissue, the fascia, is the wiring of your system. So the nervous system, when you hand people the key to this nervous system, now they can start making changes themselves. And obviously we give them a lot of exercises to do that with. So maybe it's a nice idea to go through some of these exercises. So you started with standing practice, and that's always a great thing, right, Didi?
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember when I started with standing practice and didn't do much of the, building a lot of elasticity. Although I did a lot of ballet.
There was a background in that for sure, in the foundation already.
And that's a funny thing. Whenever I went to ballet class, for people who've been to ballet, not sure how many, but every time my teacher would really look at posture. Always putting us straight, like, okay, this is how you stand up, shoulders nicely in the middle, head up, like on the right, put it all straight.
Exactly, yeah. So like open and presenting yourself, and
And especially with ballet, you want to...
It's expression, right?
Express yourself. So if you're crumbled, if the shoulders are turned downwards, that's not going to help. No. So, but when I was doing the standing practice, at first I was kind of carrying my arms.
Right.
So it was really heavy. I couldn't do it for such a long time, and my legs were like jelly after
shaking and it's pretty intense.
Yeah, but after practicing for a longer time, and not just the standing practice, but all different exercises to build up fascia. And then it seems like your arms are carrying themselves.
Absolutely.
And also, it's not a linear process, because you don't want to do the standing practice and then after that going into energy work. You want to kind of parallel.
Sure,
training.
It's not, I mean, we don't get that old, if you want to perfect everything. And, the physical training keeps being important all the time. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, but this is, the standing practice is such a great entry because you're standing still, right? Yeah. So there's not any distraction of any movement at that point, although there's micro movement, and that's what we're looking for, right? And so the difference between the heaviness of the arms and then bringing a gentle stretch in it and really recognizing, okay, wait, if I open these joints and now I connect to this elastic feeling, now there's a lightness there, and I feel a complete unified body appearing, right? And these concepts, when they start coming, now we can say, okay, let's start moving with these same concepts. And now it starts making sense for people when they, maybe they've been doing like a Tai Chi for a while or other Qigong forms. They're like, oh, wait a minute, these same concepts of opening joints and then working with the elastic body, and then also finding the relationship between how you can hang muscle in this elasticity and still keep structure. They can carry that with them into their training and see into movement as well. And that's just great, because your Tai Chi training will take on a completely different meaning if you start recognizing, wait a minute, I'm working with my nervous system here. it's a healing process, you know. It's and there's a specific sort of relaxation we're looking for. But the lightness here is so important. Well, this doesn't go overnight. It takes training, obviously, you know, and that's why we also right from the bat teach a lot of exercises that work on the extreme sides of things. So we do extreme stretches. We teach people also when they are here, like partner training or stuff they can do in their house where they can maybe work with objects to put a stress on the body where they have to open their elasticity into a force, like an elastic band or maybe in the gym, so that people can grow from here to there quickly. Because you really want to go into the internal training to a point where you really set up this foundation that you can move beyond, that it's not costing you constant awareness to keep open. No, you're conditioning your body in a different way, so it starts carrying an openness by itself all the time. And of course that needs maintenance, obviously, but in the beginning stages it just takes a lot of more work. But this is where the big change happens. This is where you really get into the door, and it just changes the story, and that's so beautiful. You know, we also have the privilege of seeing returning students, some of them more often, some you see them, you know, maybe every couple of months, and you see these changes happening. And of course, we know the relationship between, you know, the elastic body and our states, how we feel generally in life. So yeah, that's an amazing thing.
But even when we do the summer workshops, which are 5 days, sometimes even when you kind of do the first exercise and when you put somebody straight and
open aligned,
and then in quite a lot of cases you see a different person standing there.
Yeah, and that's like that.
And that's like
it just clicks. Yeah. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, and then you see somebody wants to come out. There's a different energy, a more grounded energy. The only thing is, you can reach that within, you know, a couple of seconds by putting somebody in that position. Yep. The thing that you're talking about, what costs time, is that you have to repeat it. That's why everybody should have my ballet teacher, who was kind of on a tape, who's like, stand up straight,
correct your spine, okay, you know.
Because especially in the beginning, you need that constant reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's working with the elastic body. When you look at any skill, any physical skill, might be dancing, might be playing the guitar, might be Tai Chi, whatever. Learning how to walk as a kid, you know, it's all about the elastic body, and it's making an imprint in the elastic body, a memory, because it has a memory. And this is also part of the problem, you know, it has a memory. So, a structure can become a habit, can become it's a memory, so it becomes a habit. So to change that around obviously takes time, and for you to constantly remind yourself. Well, last week we did a podcast also about 24-hour practice. So this is also something that we encourage people to do, is to take this concept, let's say, of alignment and openness with you into your day and be constantly aware of that, you know. And this is so interesting. When we bring into this a new imprint, a new memory over time, which maybe takes you maybe a year to a couple of years, where you really feel you're going through this process. And by the way, every time you train, you feel better, of course, because that's just what happens. You just feel that, okay, now you get the whole thing that the internal training wants to achieve is move beyond the physical. So it needs a sort of stillness in the body where it's not screaming for attention all the time, to move beyond these layers. Like you said, it's not something that we're waiting for. We also start building with that, but you will feel that it's all about focus. It's all about your stillness, your awareness, moving through these different stages of the vibrational skill and being able to tune in and live beyond the physical at a certain stage. And that needs this foundation. If this foundation is not there and you're just being told to relax all the time, the problem with that is And this also takes a little bit of trust when people come in for, you know, when they've maybe been training for 20 years. I'm like, yeah, but I've been told to just relax all the time. You create weak people that way. And people are not weak. They don't want to be weak. But the thing is, it takes time to open up to your own power and really step into your own power. And this is where the real magic is, because without that, you know, it's not gonna last long, you know. It's that, and we all dream of a life beyond the physical.
Yeah.
If you want to move beyond the physical, beyond the mundane, beyond that heaviness in your life, you obviously need to work on a lot of the physical to move beyond the physical.
Yeah.
And this opens the door to, well, you know, I can talk about it, but it's an experience, right? It's an experience of lightness and openness. That's it's there for you, you know?
Absolutely. So,
Beautiful.
I think...
I think, you know, we said it for this one. And we really thank you for listening. And hopefully you're inspired to train and start working with these internal principles and see beyond them also. It's like, why are they so important for you? Therefore, they're for you to change, to transform into your power.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Didi.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.